The moment of truth. Nice. And then this guy. Better with that mouthpiece. Ta-da! Finally, I've got round to doing this review on the plastic vibrato saxes, which loads of people have asked me to do. So, hi to all of those of you who are back, and to those of you who are new and checking out the channel, welcome. I'm Chez, and I play the saxophone. That's what I do. So, I generally play this. I'm doing alto because I've got some vibrato altos here. And I am playing on my Selma Series 2 with my mouthpiece, which is a Rosso Studio Jazz. So what I did there, so you could hear a comparison, and obviously this isn't studio recording, so but even just with any old mic, you can hear the difference between those sounds. You probably get the gist already. I'm not a huge fan of the vibratos. I mean, they're fun, but that's mainly what they are. So I did a little bit of Baker Street there, in case you're like, oh, what's that tune? You should know what it is. I'm sure you knew what it was. On my Series 2. And then I picked up this vibrato here. So this is one of the cheapest ones. I think you can get these for about 400 quid. Whatever that is in dollars, $600. So super cheap, really fun. And I'm using the mouthpiece that came on it. This one is actually one that one of my bands bought for me. We just crack it out for one number at the very end of the set because they've modified it to light up. I'll just show you just for a laugh. It is pretty hilarious. We call it the Hound. So right near the end of the gig. So I've done all my stuff. I've done whatever Jubal and all the impressive sax tunes. And then right near the end, we tend to do Play That Sax, the Fleur East, and I crack out this and we call it Unleashing the Hound. Welcome to the Hound. Oh yes, it has LEDs wrapped around it. Yeah, dazzling. Anyway, let's not get distracted by the toy. It is a toy, really. Sorry to the makers of vibrato, but it is a little bit of a toy. It's just for a bit of fun. I'm really glad that I have one. They're fun. But I would never, ever want to hear a recording of me playing it. I guess, this doesn't really count. It's just a little bit. Okay, so the main things that offend me. The keys feel really odd. They're made, the whole thing's kind of made out of plastic with a bit of acrylic in there. And it sounds plasticky. These pads are made from rubber and they sort of squidge. They don't just stop. They carry on moving when you press them. And you have to press them really quite hard to seal, which means you haven't got the dexterity. You just can't move as fast. So that's one of the main issues. The other one is because the tuning's all over the place, I find it really hard to pick out the key and stuff if I'm playing by ear. So what I'll do in a second is I'll just do a comparison. Once I've chatted through them all, I'll just do a comparison of what we're talking tuning-wise here with your £400 sax versus your £3,000 sax. So yeah, so that's the cheapest one. And then I also played, this is a friend of mine's saxophone. I hope she doesn't mind me showing you in the video. I won't light this one up because this one, they put a lot of work into it. It's actually really clever what they've done, so I don't want to put that on film. But you should check out her website. She's a legend. It's called Ellie Pike Sax, and I'll put a link to her in the description box. Anyway, this is her one, which she's kindly lent me. And I think this is one of the slightly more expensive ones. This is probably around just sort of £600. And then I put my mouthpiece on it, which made it a little bit more playable, which is what most pro sax players who've got one of these for a laugh and have maybe modified it to light up or whatever, that's what they would do. They put their own mouthpiece on. So this is my, just a reminder, Studio Jazz by Rosso. Okay, so this one is slightly better for tuning. We'll play around with the tuner in a sec. But it's got some weird quirks, like just the G is really funny. It's all stuffy. In both registers. In terms of, if you're buying one for your kid or something, for a young sax player, I suppose it is a bit of fun if you're just going to try it out for a year and see how you get on. And it's super light, and they come in cases which are really, really light as well. So I have to say, when I unleash the hound at the end of the gig, it's actually quite nice, quite refreshing on my neck. I'm like, oh, it's quite light as long as no one's listening. So let's do this comparison, the tuning thing I was talking about. So if I get this guy on, you'll just see what I mean. So I did tune these up with the tuner before. So let's just draw attention to that G that I was talking about. So here's the G on the keyboard. So super flat. I mean, that would be okay if the whole thing was super flat, but let's try something like B. Okay, so completely the other extreme. Really, really hard to control. Again, this is with the mouthpiece that comes with it. And obviously you don't have the option to go as high. If I try and do like a front high E. So it's really flat, and you can see in my face how much work I'm having to put in to get that out. The low notes, like I say, you have to really press to get them to seal. And it's quite tough work. See how much I'm trying to put into that. Let's just test that against the other one, the higher end vibrato. So here's that G I was talking about. So it's sharp, quite extreme sharp, and in the lower register, flat. So you can't even think, oh yeah, G's on this instrument, they're always sharp, I better lip them down. It moves. And if you don't play on it every day, you just don't have that kind of instinct where you change for it. I'll just give you the B and the E just to show you the difference. Here's the B. So really flat on this. And if I was to try and do a front, God, let's hope this comes out. That's actually not too bad. Right, let's just crack out the Selma Series 2 now. I think Series 2 are supposed to be one of the better ones for tuning. I know Mark 6, which is what everyone goes mad for because they've got this beautiful tone. Mark 6 can be quite quirky for tuning. You have to do all sorts of things to get them to behave themselves. Now, when I was getting my soprano, and everyone knows, well, do you know? I don't know. You do now, that sopranos are a nightmare for tuning. So when I got my soprano, I remember chatting to the guys in the shop and trying quite a few things out, and I went for a Series 2 because it was the most reliable for tuning. I'm not sure if we're in tune in the first place. Let's try this G. And here's the D. And that high E. So overall, much more reliable. And just the obvious thing is the tone. You know, you've got clear, bright tone versus fluffy. And you just can't move as much. You can't move as much. It's difficult to find the key. But it does come cheap, so you can bastardize it. Can I say that on YouTube? Well, I just did. I think that's all we need to know, really, isn't it? I hope that was useful for you. If you're thinking about buying one, like, go for it. They're a bit of fun, but probably not a long-term investment would be my summary of it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Give it a thumbs up if it was useful. Check me out on Twitter. I'll be chatting about other saxy things and things that I've come across. And if there's anything else you'd like me to review, then do give me a comment in the description box. Cheerio for now. Bye.